Oh, hello, hello, hello.
I just love this jingle music you've got going on in the waiting room. It's just Arenza.
You just had to say that, isn't it? Showrunner extraordinaire. I'm sure you were like, no, you know what? I was gonna put the other beat there. Why didn't you? Why didn't you
Oh
put?
no, it
Why,
was perfect. Absolutely perfect. Thank you.
Azania, it's such a great pleasure. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. Looking forward to an amazing session with you. Oh, you know what? Unfortunately, before we start, I think you have heard we've had some sad news in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, some sad news in the industry. So I'd like us to just take a moment, to celebrate our friend, our colleague in the industry, and then when we come back, we're gonna go straight to business. How is that?
You know what? Definitely, Sputland this definitely deserves this moment. Let's do it. Let's definitely do it.
Oh man, let's do it. We'll be right back. Death is such a thief, man. Death is such a thief, Asa.
Amen.
I remember this wonderful soul from our generations. Most people would remember him from there as Kenneth Mashawa. And I love there's this phrase that everybody even remembers now when he would call Dineo. Because Dini. Yeah. But I mean, he's been all over. Redemption, he's been on Scandal, I think the most recent. Where do you remember him on?
You know, I think definitely suburban bliss is one that a lot of people would if you think back, maybe some people on the platform listening might not even know what that is because it's so young. But I mean,
Mm,
it was one of those comedies that kind of looked at 94 and what happened in our country, 94,
yeah.
95, 96, the transition of, Black people going into and living in the suburbs. And it just kind of took
Mm,
that juxtaposition and played around with it and made everyone through that production feel
mm.
okay, this is comfortable. And
Oh,
for me,
man.
it was just it was one of those things that kind of freed us from the seriousness of it all and just gave us a moment to just kind of reflect from a lighthearted point of view that you know
Yeah.
what, we're all okay, we're good to live with each other,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, such a shame. But anyway, what can we do? Such is life. Such is
Yeah,
life. Let's
such
try
is
to come back to it because I know it's an emotional moment. But let's start off with you, Asa. Please, it's your stage. We need to. Well, I know you, but other people watching don't. So please, can you give us the most extensive background and who you are, what you do in the industry, your voice, everything?
all
Shoot.
right. I think first of all, I see myself as a filming facilitator from many different levels. I am an African child first, brought up all over the world. I think really just due to my parents being in exile and things like that, but then it kind of allowed me to explore. So from an industry point of view, I am a creative producer. I'm a filming facilitator across the continent. We started a company called Locations Africa, which really brought the world to Africa and said to Africa, let's just showcase who we are. I have spent a lot of time in administration and policy. I used to work at the National Film and Video Foundation many years ago. I have, I'm also a events producer. I promise you, most of the live event shows that we see in our screens in South Africa. I've done major concerts. I've worked all over our continent, worked in France and the US in terms of promoting South Africa. Africa as a filming destination, making sure we put our country on the map and our continent on the map. I have, I've worked in corporate, worked at BMW and all of those wonderful places. But I think fundamentally now I've kind of settled myself into being a creative producer and a facilitator of content production across our continent. We started the African Film Commission's network. So many things, so many things.
Man. We need a separate episode just to talk about everything that you've done.
And recently launched the Conversion Hub, which really takes brands through an action process right through to making sure that they reach their commerce objectives. And so, if anyone wants to kind of do some work on an African continent and really wants to embed themselves, hey,
your girls right there. But you forgot something. You forgot Miss South Africa. You worked on Miss South Africa, correct?
I did. I was there as a creative director, creative producer on Miss South Africa. So I've did Miss South Africa, I've done SAMAs, I've done SAFTAs for I think 13, 15 years, different production houses. I did it at NFEF, big up to that particular, because it's our industry. So I love that baby project so much. And I really hope that people are going to enter for the next one. So, I mean, it's all those kind of things, concerts. I mean, there's nothing I haven't done in terms of live event producing.
I must say, you're a very big voice in the industry. Salute.
Thank you.
Salute.
Thank you.
Let's get into the business of the day, right? I think let's start with no, we're not going to do the basics anymore, because the basics, everybody knows what a microdrama is. Everybody, this particular session, I'd like us to focus on the business of microdrama, but let's start off with the ecosystem, particularly, within the African context. Can you talk to us about what is it that we need to do? What should be in place? What does the ecosystem of a microdrama look like?
Okay, cool. Let me just take a step back, right? So I think for me, this discussion also is about the Africa opportunity, the opportunity that Africa has and what the opportunity that the world has to experience our content. And then I've thought to myself, let me ask our good friend, Google a question. And it came up with a lot of things. And I think the biggest thing for me it kind of solidified my thinking was that our region is uniquely positioned, right, to define the next evolution of vertical storytelling.
Right.
And when I mean, this is one of those that's rapidly grown, globally. And for us to be pitted on a global platform like a search engine of that nature, to say that we are uniquely positioned as the next evolution says a lot. I mean, we know the stats, right? We know that Martin ran through all the stats on Tuesday. And so this is almost like a continuation of that conversation.
Yes.
It's to say that, we have the youngest population average of age of 19 years old. Hello. I mean, that starts to sit in the sweet spot of where brands want to play, right? We definitely are one of the fastest growing mobile markets. So the actual smartphone mobile market, our continent has the fastest, even though Asia currently is the biggest, we are the fastest growing, okay? There's also these other stats of, when you go into the fastest growing economies, the top 20, an African country sits at the number one, and out of the 20, 13 countries as one, growing economies, okay? So that we know all those stats. And I think that in terms of the actual boom and why people are responding it so well, is it about because we have stories to be told, or is it because the world has been hungry for something new to produce, something new to see, something new to engage in?
Yes.
So there's that element of this boom. We've just been hungry for something new, right, globally. Then you have a situation where is it about from an African perspective, which starts to speak to me about audience development, and I'll get into ecosystem just now, is about us seeing ourselves as the drama we are watching. Okay.
Yes.
And what that comes down to is the discussion of cultural relevance.
Mm-hmm.
Very important for us to understand how relevant we are in this storytelling context, and how African stories and storytelling should doesn't have to anymore follow a very act one, act two, and because we have a different tempo of how we interact anyway, right? And there also isn't an African opportunity now. There's a lot of barriers to entry, which funding and everything else. But can I tell you, those barriers to entry have actually been a very big advantage to us in this microdrama space, from an economic point of view. Very quickly, to just say, we've been so concerned about trying to find the many millions of rands in South Africa, as an example, to make it. We have made productions at a much lower economic base. Right, so we're not. I mean, Mr. B, I know you have made films for less than R1 million, okay, and those films have gone on to win awards globally. Okay, so we're used to working with smaller budgets, tighter timelines,
with the little that we have.
Exactly, and much smaller kind of sets and equipment bases. So the opportunity really is around the economic discussion. But if I'm going to come to our ecosystem.
Before you get to the ecosystem, sorry to interrupt you. I just got excited about something. The past 3 days, I was in a creative lab hosted by some guys in the US, and they're training about 100 Africans across the continent, some in the diaspora, to create content, specifically vertical microdramas for African type of thing, right? And one lady who was pitching says, she presents a concept and then she says, think of the polygamist. And I was like, did we, how quickly did 0 to 100? But anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I should be excited by that, but I don't know. But let's go to the ecosystem.
Yeah, I mean, we will talk about content and the reality of our lifestyles every single day.
Yeah.
Finally having an opportunity to be appreciated on screens, however small.
Yeah.
Right. And the example of family dynamics is a big one. And it's not always violent, and it's not always, orientated in a sexual environment. There's some beauty about our family interactions, and even in the conversation of polygamy, what that really was at the beginning. Anyway, let's get back to our the other bit of our discussion, and it comes back to cultural relevance as well. So I mean, for me, the ecosystem of production, and now I'll start with the filmmaker's opportunity. To every single content maker out there and filmmaker out there, I want you to remember something. This is not your final solution. This is part of the many offerings that you will have as a filmmaker to build your business. As much as this is an exciting place to be, we have to remember that we have the opportunity to still do long form. We have the opportunity to do short form. We have the opportunity to do commercials. We have the opportunity to do so many different things, and we don't have to sit here. It's just a very interesting space to be in. So in terms of ecosystem, it's a business ecosystem that we have to kind of remember that this is one of the offerings that we want to give out there, because again, global stats have shown that there's so much vertical production and consumption out there that we don't really make that much money out of verticals at the moment, unless we are owning the platforms for ourselves, which I will then speak to next.
Yes.
The other bit of the ecosystem, which is really important, is the space of exhibition. And the Africa opportunity for me really comes down to something like, that the barrier to entry of that space, and it becomes a mindset, because I mean,
hold on. When you say the space of exhibition, what are you referring to?
So
let's simplify it.
let's simplify. So as Africans, right, we have
Mhm.
from time immemorial been fed things to do. We've been given the solution, okay?
Right.
Things have
Right.
come in from outside,
Mhm.
kind of pushing down our abilities to create for ourselves, right?
Mm, mm.
And in this instance, we have been told that we need to make a microdrama and then sell it outside, okay, outside of our
Ah,
landmass, to sell to
right.
someone else, to go to the global market, which is absolutely fine, right?
Mm,
Upload to all of the platforms we've seen, as well as Real Shorts or Drama Box or Good Short or Short Max or YouTube. All of these
mm.
things are being created outside of our economic base,
Yeah.
and then we are told to load and wait.
Mm,
Okay.
mm,
Now,
mm.
on those things, on those platforms, I think this goes back to the time Mr. B, you and I were trying to build Bozzapics, when it was like a stock footage website for African, stock footage. It
Yeah.
comes back to that. Are those platforms going to market to your audiences for you and with you?
Mhm.
Okay. Think
Mhm.
about that for a minute. So
Mm.
we then have to wait for audiences to pick up, and then we forget that these platforms were first to market. That's why they're massive global players, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you think you just take a step back and say, hold on, but we have all of these opportunities to be able to build for ourselves, right?
Mm, mm.
Build and work with local platforms. And so that's the other opportunity for me, is an exhibition space. And
Yeah.
truth be told, okay, we kind of already have that. Yes, I can mention the other platforms of TikTok and Instagram and all the rest of them, and YouTube. But if we roll them up into our space, our own websites and our own environments, guess what? You already have your audience. You don't have to really build it. You already
Mm.
have your followers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But also it bypasses the gatekeeping of how you put your stuff. I'm not saying don't sell to them, to anyone else. I'm saying use the spaces you already have as African producers,
Yeah.
within that space, to be able to grow your African audiences to respond to your product, okay?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then test it and see how it works, and then you can sell it to a larger market, because then you have already cleaned out all of the stuff that you've done, and then you're able to then say, hey, I have a following of X. I want to
Mhm.
bring it to you. I'm able to negotiate a higher rate when it comes to your platform.
Yeah.
Then we say, okay, fine. If it's too expensive to build my own, how do I support our own? So if it's not about going to a Hectic or a KiWIMA, all right, which are the
Yes.
two that are kind of coming up right now, which are the
That's
African
right.
ones,
Yeah.
there are mobile partners. You go to MTN, they're starting to build their own content platform, right?
Mhm.
It has
Mhm.
to work on a mobile environment, okay?
Yes. Yes.
I'm sure that they're going to build space for 9x16, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
In West Africa,
Mhm.
Glow Mobile have launched Glow TV, right? I'm
Ah.
simplifying these things, and people say, no, but those things have got, they've crunched down content. But in the same way, there are platforms. It really becomes a technological shift to be able to move from, a crunch down 16:9
Yeah.
into now vertical, or just, creating that space. The other part of the ecosystem is the policy environment.
Oh,
So
yes.
the
Very.
other part of it, and this responds to things like funding, which is a big thing. And,
Mhm.
I don't think, to be completely fair to our policymakers, and these are the film commissions, the film authorities, and other such environments, I think this thing just came so quickly that within the policy framework and structures, pivoting is very, 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 very difficult. So
Mm.
because
Mm.
you've got plans in place for the year or
Yeah.
2 years or 3 years, it's
Yeah.
difficult, honestly, for the bigger entities to be able to shift and move quickly, because you've got boards, you've got to take it through so many different
Yeah.
pass-throughs, right? I mean, for
Yeah.
instance, I'm quite excited that the Gauteng Film Commission, as an example, are actively and visibly leading this charge at this point, especially.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean,
I
they pivoted very, as quickly as they could,
yeah.
within I guess whatever, annual framework, and we're able to then put together Business of Microdrama masterclasses.
Mm-hmm.
They saw it, they responded, and they just said, okay, guys, we've done our best for now. So when it comes to a policy framework for our continent, is to then say to all of our film commissions, and we have well over 10 film authorities on the continent, but I think it's about 15, to be honest, countries that have film office or film desk at the very least activity, to go to them and have a conversation about a new format. It's not replacing anything. It's just a format that has lower barriers to entry. It has lower economic requirements for economic participation, and it has faster turnaround times, but also it becomes there's a lot more content to make that showcases the different cultures, different languages, and a different backdrops. You know me, I love the locations of our continent. Me, I'm a big thing. I'll plug locations after death, but that's the other part of it, is a political will from a film commission, film authority, film desk, film office point of view and perspective, to add it to their line of funding and such things. Then when we speak about funding as well, we always kind of go to our governments and say, we really need your help, which is correct. Then we look at what announcements and pronouncements that have been made. I mean, I don't know if you remember back in May, Equity Group, which is a banking entity, launched a roadmap for funding creative industries, right? Purely toward positioning the creative industries, right? And what they say is creating and positioning creative technology as a primary engine for future job creation and economic resilience within the region. And all this is not based on brick and mortar and you must put your house up. No, they look at your IP as investment, as for your collateral. This is on our continent. This is not some outside Western bank coming in. This is a bank that from here, okay? And that's what they're saying. We know Afreximbank, as another example, have invested millions, if not billions now, into the creative economy. They set up Canex, and they're a major partner at that. And these are banks on the ground that are looking at funding us. So the ecosystem is about the filmmaker and how the filmmaker sees and looking into their audience as well. Our audiences, audiences respond more favorably, all right, to productions that reflect them, where they're from.
Yes.
Where they
see themselves.
Yeah, where they can see themselves, but they can also see the social interactions that they feel every single day in their normal lives. So when we are creating our content, it's not just about selling to the global community. For me, it becomes a discussion about looking inward and say, I am selling to my African community. Yes, there is a massive discussion about connectivity on the ground, but there's a lot of changes in terms of that's coming up. But it's because we have what they call a commuter, just like the rest of the world, I suppose, a commuter economy, commuter-based economy, which is people who are hungry to do something as they are in a stable, steady, or seated state, right? Just like the rest of the world. I mean, everyone is on trains or buses and they're kind of flipping through. We are accustomed to swiping. So the swiping economy and watching all of those things. So it's about, if we look at that and say, okay, fine, trust me, when we look at the other content, I mean, I think Busisiwa spoke at length about the Korean and the Eastern economy in terms of this, and then juxtapositioning that with the African American economy in terms of Black productions that are coming out. There is still a gap for uniquely and superiorly African productions that we can make for ourselves and sell to ourselves. And I think the KiWIMA model, for me, Swahili focus, for Swahili's language, is really important. The other thing in terms of cultural relevance in this ecosystem that we have is language, and that's really, really, really important. It begins to vectorize all of the content that's coming in, because now as much as, you know, people will say that we've got so many different, we've got a lot of languages within our continent.
Yeah.
But what it allows for is us to now start picking up, creating little pockets of content growth. All right. You
Yes.
go from Swahili down to Eastern Cape, Xhosa. You go
Yeah.
to up north with Arabic. You come west with Yoruba. You know, you have variations of French and whatever, and all the other Western. But if we zone in on just our languages, we start to realize that actually the audience itself will start to jump on board of these platforms. So the Africa opportunity when it comes to this ecosystem is really about looking inward and realizing there are funding opportunities inward, looking inward and helping our policymakers pivot quicker.
Yes.
Looking inward as filmmakers and saying, this is, you know, I am going to only sell to my African audiences. I am going to make sure my stories are culturally relevant and a reality of what I face every single day. And it's not always doom and gloom, guys. We're not always, you know, we don't always have guns and
No.
we don't always have guns, and we don't always have supernatural things going on. There are other things going on in life. So, you know.
And you know what I like, again, just to add that before you complete your thought, most of the let me say the age range that this particular vertical space really targets is the younger generation, isn't it? And if we are going to have our original languages in the cultural relevance, it's in the this might be because these young ones, they are more here than even on the TV. I don't know how it is like where you come from, but where I am, usually it's like so. Even when we're watching TV, they would be like, and then
then they're here.
Then
they're here. And they're just like, no, but I'm watching. And you're like, what are you watching? I'm watching. You're not watching anything. But anyway. But again, the sweet spot, I think, for brand appreciation, I mean, there's also the discussion, you know, of creating vertical advertising, you know, which is another project that I'm working on, putting it out there. And how we find that sweet spot of 18 to 34, right? Because in that bracket, there's a lot of dynamism. You've got the people who, you know, the 18-year-olds who still rely on their parents or their family structure for a lot of things. And then there's a rapid development and rapid growth into complete independence and then into families of their own, right? Into like 34. So that space, it moves from dependency to independence. And a lot of slush funds exist in that space. And again, do we want these slush funds to pay the $1, the $2, or do you want them to pay, you know, the 10 rands or 20 rands, you know, and keeping the money within our own economy, which is, you know, this is the opportunity to show the world that actually we want to revolve the money within our own money's mindsets, you know?
Right. While we are on the money, I'm sorry to cut you, Aza. While we are on the money, because I want us to change gear a bit and focus now on the filmmakers. And let's discuss now as filmmakers who are watching this, what do we have for them in terms of how can they make money from this new format that has come in? Just your mild thoughts on it.
Okay, well, I'm not the expert on how much money can be made. You know, there's the sad kind of growing reality that this is a bubble that is blowing up and blowing up and blowing up. And so the opportunities, then the economy, it does this, all right, to make money because there's a lot of content. Having said that, you know, it's a little bit, research is really important with all of what we're doing. Every production that we make, and this is across any form of content, we can make films that we like and stories that we want to talk about. Like I might want to talk about the flowers on my table, okay, as a storyline. But does the market need a story about flowers on my table?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's about that kind of research and in doing the necessary homework, even in this vertical space, to create stories that resonate with a larger audience base, because then obviously you hope to be able to reach more people.
Yeah.
Have content that is slightly interactive. So when you are putting out your content, it's about how do you then vectorize and do transmedia and multimedia strategies to promote your item on screen. I mean, Mr. B, through AMP, there are 5 productions that have come through. It'll be interesting to find out and to work to be able to make sure that that kind of transmedia, multimedia strategy to promote, you have to invest in that as well.
Yeah.
And then for me, the other element in terms of making the money is understanding. It's the same thing with every other production, with every other format. What is your distribution plan? What are your contractual obligations? What are your windows? Where are your windows? Because there are windows within these platforms as well. Hey, the only difference is that we have a bigger opportunity to be less exclusive to a particular platform and a particular territory. We have we are. Oh, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was going to happen. I had a timer for myself. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it really comes down to the normal strategies of filmmaking. It doesn't change, my people. It's just obviously it's a much leaner production, so you can make more with what you kind of have traditionally. You can churn out a lot more, but in churning out a lot more, you've got to know that the work to get it out there actually goes is a lot more, because you've got 5 productions going on at the same time. Which one do you choose to promote? So it for me it's no different from any other production. It's just about understanding what your distribution, marketing, and your finance plans really are around this.
Great. I've got a question, Aza, and also people watching us. Don't be shy. You can send through your questions. Yes, IP, royalties, seeing one's vertical. I think he was asking himself, who is this? What's that son?
Yeah.
But there is a question in there. Maybe we can discuss issues around IP and royalties. But before then, I think we've got there are times, we've got big studios, right?
Yeah.
And we've got all these independent production companies. I believe really microdrama is accessible in terms of production, right? As an independent, it's much better because you don't need those big studios,
you need your lounge. Let's move on. You need your lounge, okay? Lounge. Okay.
Lounge.
I mean,
okay.
But the thing is that I'm actually going to take that back, because I don't want us to think that it's about doing your things in your lounge. It is about working in a professional or semi-professional environment. A set-ready environment. Whatever that looks like, set production-ready environment. And it must be treated as such. Even if it's a lounge, it's treating it as a set-ready environment that responds to African storytelling. There was another question that popped up. Where's that?
Yeah, I think he also tends to think aloud and type here, because we want questions that will be really direct and we able. So he's excited, this one. Also, he had another question on South Korea. Yes, this is why South Korea, but that's before the conversation. So let's look at the creative economy. And I know that policymakers are more focused on jobs, right? When you were talking about tracking back to the ecosystem and policymakers and organizations coming in to maybe act faster, I thought, hang on, but microdrama costs less to shoot. Shouldn't that be, I mean, like we know some funding organizations, or maybe not funding organizations, some film organizations that have got smaller budgets. Let's put it that way, smaller budgets. Shouldn't maybe those smaller budgets can actually fund a full series of a microdrama? So aren't we seeing, isn't this an opportunity for really funding to be created that will actually go a long way into creating a bigger impact?
I think you couldn't have put it better, to be completely honest with you. You're right that there are already funding pots which have a cap, which in long form is a tiny little, drop in the ocean, some people would say. But in this space, it's the entire budget.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
For 26 to 52 episodes, and that's the entire budget. And I come back to the reality of African filmmaking and filmmaking in constrained environments anywhere in the world. The truth is, we have been making content on a budget. So the transition to working with lower budgets and creating storylines that are shorter or storylines that are quick to consume is nothing new. Right? It's just now, I think, when you're bombarded with information and you're bombarded with data, you don't have a moment to step back and say, hold on a minute, but I've been doing this. And it's been received really well around the world with, all these short, and I think at the time, it was short films and short dramas of about 24, 26 minutes long. But now each of that's an entire series. That's an entire 26 minute series. My niece who's also working, she's like, no, auntie, you must be 60 seconds to 90 seconds. I'm like, yo, girl. So I'm having to myself adapt to my reality that the beginning, middle, and end has to be within 90 seconds for some content. And then there's those that's in 3 minutes, and there's 5 minutes.
Oh man, let's see. It's the key to own the entire value chain, from creation, aggregation to distribution to platform to IP. Yes, indeed. Couldn't agree more. Marcus, thank you very much. Now, time flies when you're having fun.
It does. And I love these topics about Africa. Anything at my continent, let's do it.
Let's do it. It's flown past us. But do you have any closing thoughts? I'd like to give you an opportunity to check what it is that you missed and any, parting shots.
The parting shot for me is recognizing that we have a very malleable audience. Yeah. An audience that is hungry to flip through stuff. Okay. Yeah. An audience that is hungry to commit to something. There's this preconceived ideas that we just don't have the money to commit to anything. But the time in memorial, there's so many things that I have gone online and I've spent $20, I've spent $10, spent $5 or whatever it is, and because everything's in dollars at the moment. So I for me, it's about not ignoring our African audiences. It's about us creating stories for African audiences because we have the support. There is funding available for the creative industries, like we've spoken about. There are platforms available. You don't need to go to a brand new platform. Don't have to make something for a brand new for a platform that that's out there. You can literally, if you use any of the AI tools, there's massive discussion about AI. You can create your own website today. I mean, Martin spoke about how quickly he made KiWIMA. I mean, I made a brand new website yesterday. It took me 4 hours. So I mean. And I'm just like, okay, we can do that. But I then obviously have to market that. But we still have other platforms. We have our Facebooks, we have, and as much as I've said, we don't have to go into international ones where our audience already exists. Let's go to our audience and pull them to where we want them to be. Yes. Okay. Yes. Go there, pull them in. I want everyone to look at Africa and, as literally the next frontier for, in the discussion of verticals, a new frontier for genuine entertainment, for And obviously for filmmakers, it's on a budget, but also from our point of view, we can manage subscription formats. I really want us to look at the cultural relevance of it all, and look at us as true participants within our cultural context as African people. Speak to our film commissions and our film entities and such environments to say, guys, this is a quick fire way for us to help you achieve your objectives as well, from that point of view. But I mean, I big ups to all the platforms globally that are doing, verticals and a lot of stuff that is happening globally. Big ups to all of you. We're just on our way to let you know that we've got our stuff coming through.
Oh, there's no better way to end it. We're on our way. We got great stuff coming. We'll drink to that. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. I truly appreciate your time and everything that you've shared. Can we do a cheers here? Is it possible?
This is water, guys. There's nothing else in here but water. But yeah, cheers.
Like if you go to the right top and mine,
there we go. I think it works. I don't know, but it's water. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Azar. Good night.
Good night, guys. Thank you for joining. Chat to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.